Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, December 13th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's NFL Week 14 games, look ahead to tonight's game, recap the weekend's college basketball, look ahead to tonight, NBA and NHL, same thing. We'll recap Army-Navy. We'll go over the Major League Soccer final, news and notes, and my best bet of the day. We're going to start in the NFL, as we do usually each and every Monday, as we will go over the games from yesterday, look ahead to tonight's NFC West matchup between the Rams and Cardinals. Browns over the Ravens 24-22. Titans over the Jaguars 20-0. Chiefs over the Raiders 48-9. Saints over the Jets 39. Cowboys over the Washington football team 27-10. Falcons over the Panthers 29-21. Seahawks over the Texans 33-13. Broncos over the Lions 38-10. Chargers over the Giants 37-21. 49ers over the Bengals 26-23 in overtime. Buccaneers over the Bills 33-27 in overtime. And the Packers over the Bears 45-30. And now we look ahead to tonight's game, 8:15, ESPN. Rams Cardinals. Steve Levy, Brian Grease, and Louis Riddick on the call. My projection for this game is Cardinals by 7, total 48-9. Meanwhile, it's 2-51. The pessimistic people of the Arizona Cardinals, come on. They have the best record in the league. Kyler Murray's back and healthy. I don't care that they just played the Bears. I love the Cardinals here, minus the 2 against the overrated Rams. They have a cancer now with Odell, so I'm laying the points, and I think that they're going to win by at least a touchdown, as people are going to start to wonder about the Rams a little bit in whether they are actually a Super Bowl contender or not. They have the sexy names on the roster, but the Cardinals might be the better regular season team. So I'm going to lay the 2. It's under a field goal. I'm going to lay it with Arizona against the Rams. All right, now we look back with college basketball from the weekend. And we will look ahead to tonight's games. Friday, Montana over Yellowstone 104-43. Furman over App State 73-65. Tennessee State over IUPUI 70-44. Delaware over Moravine 94-55. Vermont over Brown 70-65. Army over NJIT 66-49. SC State over High Plains 67-66. Bellarmine over Midway 89-39. UMKC over Green Bay 64-55. Murray State over Memphis 74-72. Loyola Chicago over Vandy 69-58. DePaul over Louisville 62-55. North Dakota State over Cal State Northridge 68-54. Boise State over Prairie View A&M 97-60. And Colorado over Milwaukee 65-54. Now we look back on Saturday's results. There was a lot of it. Number 18 Auburn over Nebraska 99-68. Number 21 Ohio State over number 22 Wisconsin 73-55. Creighton over number 24 BYU 83-71. Louisiana Tech over Louisiana 78-69. Georgetown over Syracuse 79-75. UMass Lowell over MCLA 109-45. Buffalo over SJ Fish 158. St. Francis Brooklyn over Delaware State 75-61. Purdue Fort Wayne over Southeast Missouri State 78-65. VMI over Gardner-Webb 64-61. Charlotte over Valparaiso 68-67. St. Joe's over Temple 68-49. Duquesne over New Hampshire 64-62. Kennesaw State over Voorhees 80-56. Eastern Michigan over FIU 92-88 in quadruple overtime. Wow. Detroit over Western Michigan 83-64. Oklahoma over number 12 Arkansas 88-66. Number 19 Michigan State over Penn State 80-64. Mercer over Georgia Southern 77-68. Troy over Tennessee Tech 75-72. Princeton over Lafayette 84-73. UNC Asheville over Western Carolina 73-72. Providence over Central Connecticut 68-53. UCF over NC A&T 83-68. Tulsa over Southern Illinois 69-65. Colorado State over Mississippi State 66-63. LaSalle over Penn 76-74. Binghamton over Sunny Winota 75-55. Clemson over Drake 90-80 in overtime. North Florida over Austin Peay 91-84. Eastern Washington over North Dakota 76-60. Quinnipiac over Maine 73-47. Siena over Holy Cross 72-59. Youngstown State over Canisius 71-43. Ohio over Stetson 55-45. Little Rock over Flanders Smith 60-51. Longwood over Morgan State 93-55. Southern Utah over St. Catherine 161. UNLV over Hartford 95-78. South Dakota State over Washington State 77-74. Texas Arlington over Lamar 56-47. Illinois State over Chicago State 80-71. Towson over Coppin State 89-75. Jacksonville over UNC Wilmington 77-48. Number 8 Kansas over Missouri 102-65. Incarnate Word over Grambling 72-62. Number 15 UConn over St. Bonaventure 74-64. East Tennessee State over Morehead State 82-75. Maryland Eastern over St. Mary's Maryland 79-43. American over Mount St. Mary's 72-66 in overtime. Butler over Eastern Illinois 66-54. Missouri State over Oral Roberts 69-60. Northwestern State over Dallas Christian 89-67. UTSA over Sam Houston 78-73. San Jose State over Pacific 78-66. Number 13 Tennessee over UNC Greensboro 76-36. Weber State over Maine Fort Kent 82-36. South Dakota over Northern Arizona 76-71 in overtime. North Texas over UMass 66-57. UIC over Central Michigan 71-67. Number 11 Arizona over Illinois 83-79. Arkansas State over Mississippi Valley State 82-77. St. Louis over BC 79-68. Utah over Manhattan 96-62. Notre Dame over number 10 Kentucky 66-62. Number 25 LSU over Georgia Tech 69-53. Pepperdine over Alabama State 79-62. St. Mary's over UC Santa Barbara 80-59. Richmond over Toledo 72-69. Southern over Southeast Louisiana 72-66. BU over Dartmouth 65-62. Texas Christian over Texas A&M 68-64. Stony Brook over Bryant 86-78. Minnesota over Michigan 75-65. Sanford over Alabama A&M 52-50. Marshall over Eastern Kentucky 80-69. Fresno State over UC Irvine 63-55. James Madison over Radford 79-70. Wichita State over Norfolk State 71-58. Abilene Christian over Drexel 73-56. New Mexico State over Loyola Marymount 63-58. Albany over Columbia 60-59. Winthrop over Carver College 83-52. Wake over South Carolina Upstate 79-53. Stephen F. Austin over Liberty 63-51. Florida Gulf Coast over Robert Morris 85-74. VCU over Old Dominion 75-66. Montana State over St. Thomas, Minnesota 72-65. Rice over Houston Baptist 88-73. Grand Canyon over Ottawa, Arizona 81-53. North Carolina over Line 80-63. A&M Corpus Christi over Omaha 87-73. Western Kentucky over Ole Miss 71-48. Xavier over Cincinnati 83-63. Cal State Fullerton over Life Pacific 87-59. Middle Tennessee State over Tennessee Martin 84-75. Utah State over New Orleans 82-50. Cal over Santa Clara 72-60. Dixie State over Denver 82-62. Number 4 UCLA over Marquette 67-56. Number 9 Alabama over number 14 Houston 83-82. That was a great game. San Diego over Cal Lutheran 84-55. Cal Poly over Portland State 61-58. Cal State Bakersfield over Idaho 59-58. And Wyoming over Utah Valley 74-62. And Loyola, Louisiana and Southern Miss postponed. Sunday's results. Miami over Fordham 72-66. Indiana over Merrimack 81-49. St. John's over Colgate 82-64. South Carolina over Florida State 66-65. Number 17 Iowa State over Jackson State 47-37. Davidson over Northeastern 79-69. Fairfield over William and Mary 70-47. Niagara over Buffalo State 112-52. St. Peter's over Nyack College 87-48. Ball State over Indiana Kokomo 85-58. Number 1 Purdue over NC State 82-72 in overtime. Hofstra over John Jay 102-51. Coastal Carolina over Wofford 60-59. Loyola Maryland over Hampton 67-54. Northern Kentucky over Alice Slade 91-55. Chattanooga over Tennessee Wesleyan 104-55. Charleston over Presbyterian 78-76 in overtime. Dayton over Virginia Tech 62-57. Navy over Marist 67-61. Akron over Florida A&M 73-66. Number 2, Baylor over number 6, Villanova, 57-36. SIU Edwards over Kansas City, 60-56. UAB over Millsaps, 103-29. UTEP over New Mexico, 77-69. West Virginia over Kent State, 63-50. Northeastern over NJIT, 70-52. Maryland over number 20, Florida, 70-68. Number 16, USC over Long Beach State, 73-62. Tennessee State over Lipscomb, 73-65. Texas State over Southwestern University, 101-54. Kansas State over Green Bay, 82-64. UC Riverside over Cal Baptist, 70-54. Stanford over Oregon, 72-69 on a buzzer beater 3 by Jaden Dallaire. Iona over Yale, 91-77. Monmouth over Pitt, 56-52. Number 23, Seton Hall over Rutgers, 77-63. And Seattle over UC San Diego, 73-51. Number 5, Gonzaga and Washington canceled. All right, now we look ahead to a very small window for tonight. First up, Northern Illinois and Chicago State, 1 o'clock this afternoon. My projection is Northern Illinois by a quarter, total 129-25. Meanwhile, it is Northern Illinois by 1.5, total 126.5. I got to take the over in that game. Next up, Princeton hosts UMBC at 6 o'clock. My projection is Princeton 8.5, total 153.3. Meanwhile, it is Princeton 6, total 152.5. I have no choice but a slight edge to Princeton. All right, the next couple we can skip. Johnson University, Florida at 7. Erskine App State, that's a 6:30 game. Blue Mountain Nichols. Merchant Marine, Long Island. Radford and George Washington. My projection for that game is Radford by 3/4, total 130.5. Meanwhile, it's George Washington 4.5, total 130.5. I'm taking Radford plus the points and the money line at plus 155. Keene State, New Hampshire, we can skip. Harvard College, Liberty, we can skip. LaGrange, Jacksonville State, we can skip. 8 o'clock, Cleveland State, Oklahoma State. My projection for this game is OK State by 3.25, total 136.55. Meanwhile, it is 12 and 134.5. I'm taking Cleveland State and the points. Rhode Island and Milwaukee. My projection is Rhode Island by 6.25, total 133.35. Meanwhile, it is 7 and 130.5. I'm going to take the over. Sacred Heart and Columbia. My projection here is Columbia by 7.75, total 143.75. Meanwhile, it is Sacred Heart 3.5, total 140.5. Wrong team's favorite. Give me Columbia plus the 3.5 and plus 136 on the money line. Albany and Boston College on the ACC network. My projection is BC 14.25, total 128.7. Meanwhile, 15.5 and 124.5. I have to take the over. Indiana State and North Dakota State. My projection is North Dakota State by 18, total 139.3. Meanwhile, it is 4 and 141.5. I'm going to lay the points with North Dakota State. And last but not least, at 10 o'clock, Cal Poly and Portland. My projection is Portland by 8, total 132.65. Meanwhile, it is 5.5 and 130. So it's 2.5 point edge and over 2.5. So I'm going to go with the over for this pick. All right, now we'll look back on the weekend's NBA games, and we will look ahead to a busy window for tonight. Friday night, Hornets over the Kings, 124-123. Pacers over the Mavericks, 106-93. Nets over the Hawks, 113-105. Raptors over the Knicks, 90-87. Bucks over the Rockets, 123-114. Cavaliers over the Timberwolves, 123-106. Pelicans over the Pistons, 109-93. Lakers over the Thunder, 116-95. Suns over the Celtics, 111-90. Saturday, Clippers over the Magic, 106-104. Jazz over the Wizards, 123-98. Cavs over the Kings, 117-103. Heat over the Bulls, 118-92. Grizzlies over the Rockets, 113-106. 76ers over the Warriors, 102-93. The Nuggets over the Spurs, 127-112. Sunday, Bucks over the Knicks, 112-97. Nets over the Pistons, 116-104. Mavs over the Thunder, 103-84. Spurs over the Pelicans, 112-97. Timberwolves over the Trailblazers, 116-111. And the Lakers over the Magic, 106-94. Now we look ahead to tonight. First up, 7 o'clock, you have the Heat and the Cavaliers. The LeBron East Bowl, I should say. My projection is Cavaliers by 3 7/8, total 209.9. Meanwhile, it's 5 207.5. I have to go with the over. Warriors Pacers, my projection is Golden State by 5.5, total 213.55. Meanwhile, it is 4 214. I don't get how the Pacers, I know they've been winning games recently, but why? I have a slight edge. I love that I have Stephen Curry with even the slightest edge. Give me the Warriors. I love it. The Kings and the Raptors. My projection is the Raptors by 5/8, total 217.05. It's 4.5 and 221. Ooh, so I have a really nice edge on the Kings. Just under 4-point edge on the Kings. And I have it slightly just under 4 edge on the under. But I like the Kings better, so I'll give you the Kings plus the points. 7:30, the Rockets and the Hawks. My projection is the Hawks by 17 3/4, so 218.7. Now it's 10.5 and 226.5. Huge edges everywhere. About an 8-point edge, 8-point edge on the under, and a little over a 7-point edge on the Hawks. So you gotta go with the under. Bucks Celtics. My projection is Bucks by 2 3/8, total 216.3. Meanwhile, it's 1 and 221. Another under. 8 o'clock, the 76ers and the Grizzlies. I project a pick'em in 216.35. Meanwhile, it's Philly by 3 in total 210. I actually like the over in this game, amazingly enough. And I kind of do like the Grizzlies as an underdog to win outright tonight, plus 130. But for the podcast play, I like the over. The Hornets and the Mavericks at 8:30. My projection is Dallas by 1.5. That's without Luka, but also LaMelo's out too. Total 220.75. I'm sure Charlotte's favored because, let's face it, Dallas is a one-man show. No, Dallas is favored by 2.5 without Luka. Total 217.5. Even without LaMelo and Luka, I still think this is an over. I think that some role players like Tim Hardaway Jr. could get hot from 3. So I'm going to go over 217.5 for this. 9 o'clock, Wizards Nuggets. My projection is Denver by 2 3/8, total 212.05. Meanwhile, it is 5 and 213. I'm going to take the Wizards with the points. And last but not least, 10:30 NBA TV, the Suns and the Clippers. By the way, the first NBA TV game of the night's Warriors Pacers. My projection is Suns by a quarter, total 213.2. That's without Devin Booker. And it's Suns 3.5, total 210.5. They're making it seem like Booker's playing. Like, I don't understand why I think the Suns are this big of a favorite without Devin Booker. I know there's a chance Paul George might not play. If Paul George doesn't play, Paul George is worth a lot of points. This line would go up to 5.25 without Paul George. And without Paul George or with Devin Booker, the Suns are double-digit favorites. So, it's either the over or the Clippers. And I'm going to go with the Clippers plus the points. And I think there's a chance they win this game outright, too. If I had to do an underdog moneyline parlay, potentially it's Clippers, Charlotte, and Sacramento I put in there too. I'd go Sacramento, maybe Boston, Memphis, Charlotte, and the Clippers. And maybe I'd consider even the Wizards too as a long shot. So I think a lot of these underdogs can absolutely win their games outright tonight. I would actually do an NBA round robin tonight. All right, now we'll move on to the NHL, where we will recap the weekend's games, and we will look ahead to tonight's games. So we'll begin with Friday night from the NHL. This is okay. Now we have it loaded. Friday night, Rangers over the Sabres 2-1, Penguins over the Capitals 4-2, Preds over the Devils 3-2, Avs over the Red Wings 7-3, Panthers over the Coyotes 3-1, Canucks over the Jets 4-3 in a shootout, Flyers over the Golden Knights 4-3. Saturday, Senators over the Lightning 4-0, Caps over the Sabres 3-2 in a shootout, Leafs over the Blackhawks 5-4, Penguins over the Ducks 1-0, Blues over the Canadiens 4-1, Isles over the Devils 4-2, Flyers over the Coyotes 5-3, Bruins over the Flames 4-2, Hurricanes over the Oilers 3-1. Blue Jackets over the Kraken 5-4 in overtime. Kings over the Wild 2-1, and Sharks over the Stars 2-1. Sunday, Preds over the Rangers 1-0. Ducks over the Blues 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by Troy Terry. Wait, was that on a penalty shot in overtime? Yes, it is. That's an interesting way for that game to end. Avs over the Panthers 3-2. Golden Knights over the Wild 6-4, and the Canucks over the Hurricanes 2-1. So the Canucks are 5-0 under Bruce Boudreau now. Or 4-0 under Bruce Boudreau. I thought it was 5 by now, but no, it's 4. All right, now we look ahead to tonight. Tonight's lone game was supposed to be the Flames and the Blackhawks, and it got postponed due to the Calgary's COVID issue. So that is really, really unfortunate. All right, now we will look back on the eventful game from MetLife Stadium from Saturday, which was Army-Navy, as Navy came out on top, 17-13. They had the game at MetLife this year because it was the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, so that makes a lot of sense to have it there. It was cool to see MetLife have a game like that. That's really, really cool. Navy 4-8, Army 8-4. So a good way for Navy to end its season. Meanwhile, Army has one more game left. They play Missouri in a bowl. I believe it's the Armed Forces Bowl that they have to play Missouri in. So Army still has one more game left. And Navy season's over. So, we'll see how Army does against Missouri in their bowl game. And Navy can hold their heads up high because they beat Army. And, you know how this rivalry is. This is probably a top 3 rivalry in the sport. And, you know how much this game means to a lot of players. And it's cool to watch year in and year out. And the under is a lock every year. And Navy was a pretty significant underdog this year. And I remember when Army started to break through as a program a couple years ago, Navy had the big win streak in the series. And then Army finally beat them. And it was one of the best moments, I think, of Army-Navy the last couple of years. And then it was cool to see Navy come through as a big dog on Saturday late afternoon. All right, now we'll recap the MLS final from the weekend. It was a fantastic game with a fantastic finish as NYCFC wins in penalty kicks 4-2 to win the MLS championship. So the New York Sports Championship drought is over. But I don't think anybody would have guessed it'd be NYCFC. And I saw on Twitter, people in the media were just, kind of mocking it and, kind of killing the Yankees and the Giants and the Rangers and the Knicks and the Mets and the Jets. Those are, and the Islanders and the Brooklyn Nets as teams that, through the past decade that held expectations of winning at some point and just never came through. But it's cool to see somebody different win. I'm not the one that would just mock the more popular teams in town because they didn't break the drought. I think it's cool to see a different team in a different sport break through because I think that soccer really should become more popular in the New York metropolitan area. So really cool for NYCFC. I remember when they first became a team and they're an expansion team and now here they are as champions. So it's really, really cool to see. So it was a 1-1 game and then the football club won 4-2 in penalties. And NYCFC took the early lead on a goal by Valentin Castellanos in the 41st minute. Then Felipe Mora in the 94th minute ties it for Portland to keep their season alive. And then the penalty shootout. Castellanos scores for NYCFC. Then Felipe Mora denied. Alfredo Morales denied. Diego Valeri denied. Maxey Morales scores. Santiago Moreno scores. Teles Mango scores. Christian Paredes scores to keep Portland alive. And then for the win, for the cup, Alexander Callens scores for NYCFC to win it all for the football club. So congratulations to the New York City Football Club on their first MLS Cup. Portland had a great year too. They had a great run, the 4th seed in the West to make it, and NYCFC was the 4th seed in the East to make it. And it was cool that it was 2 underdogish teams. Because I think everybody thought it was going to be the Revolution and either Seattle or Colorado that made the final. But no, it was 2 4 seeds and NYCFC came out the winner. And I apologize, guys, for not making a pick for the game. I would have picked Portland in penalty kicks. That would have been my pick on the show. I was thinking draw, but I would have had Portland winning in penalty kicks. All right, now move on to news and notes for today. It's a lot to get to. That's why I had to swing through everything else. Couple breaking news items that I want to talk about. The Bulls are having a COVID outbreak. Elijah Johnson is the latest player to test positive for COVID, along with Zach LaVine. The Calgary Flames now have a COVID pause as the league postponed their games until December 16th. That includes tonight's game against the Blackhawks. So that's just unfortunate. So it was tonight against the Hawks, Tuesday against the Preds, and Thursday against the Leafs. So that's 3 games for Calgary. So Elias Lindholm, Andrew Magniape, Brad Richardson, Adam Ruzicka, Chris Tanev, Nikita Zadorov, and a member of the training staff have entered the COVID-19 protocol. I feel like the NHL has been more strict about this than the NBA this season. The Bulls and the Knicks have outbreaks right now, and they're still playing. And it's costing the Knicks games. It's going to cost the Bulls games. And the NHL, I think, has done a better and a stronger job with it. And I know some teams have overcome it. You've seen the Miami Marlins in baseball last year when the pandemic was at its peak, overcome it. So we'll see if these teams can overcome it. So other news. Micah Parsons says the NFL is not hard. Yeah, wait until you face a good offensive line, Micah Parsons. You got lucky because Washington is not very good, and you face a lot of weak opponents in the NFC East. So wait till the playoffs, buddy, when you're facing maybe David Bakhtiari's back for Green Bay. See how that goes. And all due respect to Micah, I know I just crapped on him there. He's going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's phenomenal, but this guy's talking like he's Lawrence Taylor, for crying out loud. Tom Brady had a couple records in the game. So he broke the NFL completions record, and he had his 700th touchdown, which is incredible. Urban Meyer looked lost post-game as he couldn't even look Mike Vrabel in the eyes for the handshake after the loss. Yikes. I'd be surprised if he's back next year. This is the biggest shit show in the NFL. I mean, come on. It's only because of Urban Meyer. If it wasn't for him, this wouldn't be such a shit show. The UCL draw to be redrawn as Chaos as Champions League. Last 16 draw will be redone after a failure to put in Man United's ball as option to face Altixio. So that's crazy. We had the Formula One title be crowned yesterday morning as Max Verstappen wins his first world championship and denies Lewis Hamilton of an 8th title amid controversy in the Abu Dhabi. Couple big boxing stuff. Juliana Pena upsets Amanda Nunes to become the new bantamweight champ. And Charles Oliveira upset Dustin Poirier to retain his UFC lightweight title at UFC 269. A lot of NFL injuries. Lamar Jackson sprained ankle. Aaron Rodgers has a setback with his toe, as surgery remains last resort. Derrick Henry on track for the postseason. Elijah Moore to injury reserve with a quad injury. That's a big deal for the Jets. TJ Watt avoids serious injury and has a chance to play on Sunday against the Titans. Bo Nix enters the transfer portal, so we'll see who gets him. Oregon hires Georgia defensive coordinator Dan Lanning as the new head coach. So we'll see if Lanning will coach in the playoff or not. The NCAA probing BYU and Miami as it's looking into a pair of high-profile NIL deals for violations. Jim Harbaugh named National Coach of the Year. And I've been saying this on the podcast the last couple weeks since he beat Ohio State. He deserves it. I don't think anybody picked them to go to the playoff this year. Expectations were low. Everybody had him fired, including myself. And I'm really happy for Jim Harbaugh as his team's in the playoff. And hopefully we see them in the national title game against Alabama. That'd be really cool. And John Harbaugh had to defend Jim as he slams the haters back in your face. He would never say it, but I'll say it. Daniel Jones having an MRI for his neck injury. So we'll see if he's back for that Cowboy game or not. Ben Bishop won't return to the NHL because of a degenerative knee injury. But the Stars are still in a good spot in goal, so they really don't need Bishop. Jacob McDonald of the Avalanche had to get stretched off yesterday after getting hit and exited the game against the Panthers. Paige Becker's considering knee surgery. That would keep her out longer than the original estimate of 6 to 8 weeks. Bruce Pearl got banned 2 games for being involved in a bribery scandal as he served 1 game over the weekend against Nebraska and then Auburn's next game. Mets managerial finalists, Buck Showalter, Joe Espada, and Matt Quattro. Buck Showalter, if they hire him, it's for the press. It's for the big name. But that's never won a championship. Joe Espada is for the current day and age of baseball, and so is Matt Quattro. Luka Doncic to miss multiple games due to persistent left ankle soreness. Jeremy Grant out indefinitely as he suffered torn ligaments in his thumb. Zion suffers setback in rehab. That's unfortunate. I wonder if they're just not going to play him this year. Cal Kuzma in COVID protocols as he missed the weekend's game against the Jazz, and then he'll miss the next 2 games. But you need 2 negative tests to come back. And RJ Barrett's in COVID protocols, and so is Obi Toppin. The Broncos did something cool yesterday. Played with 10 on the field as Demaryius Thomas's number 88 flashes on the Jumbotron. You knew they were going to do something special in that game. Zach LaVine in COVID protocols. We talked about that earlier. Isaiah Thomas to join the G League and will play in the Showcase December 19th through 22nd in Vegas. Kevin Durant fined $25,000 for directing obscene language toward a fan in Atlanta. Yikes. Texans may go defense in the draft as he could pick one of the top defensive ends in the first round instead of a quarterback if Davis Mills plays well. But Texans should go defense with their own pick. You know why? Because the quarterbacks aren't that good to be picked in the top 10. Maybe in the back end of the first round there's going to be quarterbacks. But this is the worst quarterback draft since 2013, and everybody knows it. Kyron Williams and Kyle Hamilton will skip Fiesta Bowl and enter the draft. So those are 2 big players out for Notre Dame. Bryce Young won the Heisman Trophy in a landslide. 684 votes. Aiden Hutchinson at 78. And it's just amazing for him. There's tensions rising in the Jaguars organization about Urban Meyer's future. And there's been multiple run-ins with players and other coaches too. Ben Simmons trade talks heating up as he could finally be on the move as more teams are interested, and there could be a 2-way deal or a 3-way deal. We'll see. The Blazers have made it clear to the Sixers that Lillard is not available in trade talks because that's who obviously Daryl Morey wants to get for Ben Simmons. So it's the worst kept secret in the NBA. Steve Kerr to become the U.S. men's basketball head coach. And the staff will include Monty Williams, Eric Spoelstra, and Mark Few. College basketball recruiting news. Duke lands a 5-star small forward prospect, Mark Mitchell, as he picks Duke over UCLA, Missouri, among others. And non-sports news, Michael Neesmith, original member of the Monkees, passes away at the age of 78. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. My best bet today is going to be the Cardinals. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to get cute. I'm going to lay the 2 with Arizona. 1 unit against the Rams to make a statement among the league. All right, so that's it for today's show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything from tonight, looking ahead to everything tomorrow. Maybe we'll do hit or miss 2019 NFL draft, which is going to be very interesting. And obviously, news and notes and my best bet as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.